Hey guys, it's Lexi. I'm gonna go over a couple things regarding the previous video that I made, as in a simpler way to make your own e-liquid, because apparently a viewer did not understand exactly what I was stating. So I'm gonna set the facts straight, because I kind of don't appreciate when someone makes a comment that is very inaccurate when my information is accurate, because I feel like it can be misleading to my viewers. So if you don't really know what you're talking about, please just move on. Don't leave a comment. Now, the purpose of my video was to make big batches of unflavored mix. That way you can have it readily available for a smaller bottle without having to constantly drop nicotine, PG, VG, and flavor every time you want to make a mix. All you have to do from here is pour this in a smaller bottle and add whatever flavor you want. The reason I do smaller bottles is because I like to change my flavors frequently, and I don't want to have to buy a bunch of little bottles. Next thing was, the guy or girl said they would never use this or a graduated cylinder. I can't really figure out why, because honestly, if you're making big batches such as 30 milliliters, you're going to have to drop 440 drops of nicotine or 600 drops of PG or VG. That is a lot to drop. And honestly, you're going to lose count. You'll become distracted. Anything could happen. So if you want an accurate recipe, I suggest you use this. Now, let's get the facts straight. If you drop 440 drops of nicotine, it's still going to equal 10 milliliters. Okay? So you should just try to drip it in here and see what happens, because you'll probably end up at 10 milliliters. Okay. Next thing is regarding whether or not it wastes liquid. It's not wasting liquid if you use it. Okay? I plan on using every drip of this. It's wasteful if you make flavors you don't like because you decided to make a big batch thinking you're going to like it because, maybe you think you know everything, and then you come up with a flavor you don't like, which is why I make small batches. I make little vials like this or less, because I can always change the flavor. If I don't like it, I don't feel bad about pouring out that flavor. Okay? So I make small batches. Plus, they're easy to carry around. So I can just throw this in my purse. So now let's address this whole thing about percentages. If you read the description box, it clearly states that this recipe calls for 20% nicotine, or 20 milligrams nicotine. I'll say that. So if I want 20 milligrams nicotine for a 30 milliliter bottle of liquid, you're going to use 10 milliliters of nicotine and 20 milliliters of PG. Okay? So therefore, that's very accurate. I've already used a calculator for that. And the flavor setting is at 0% because I'm not adding flavor, which is why it's an unflavored mix. Okay? And you might want to rewind a little bit and you'll figure out why I want unflavored, because I already stated that in this video and the past video. So, again, the recipe for this mix of my recipe, which I got online, is 10 milliliters of nicotine, 20 milliliters of PG. If you're going to do a 50-50 mix, then you'll use 10 milliliters of PG and 10 milliliters of VG, which will total 20 milliliters completely. Okay? You'll pour all of that in here. That is not wasting anything. Now, after you already have your big batch made, you're going to look at whatever bottle you have. If you have a 3 milliliter bottle, or if you have a 1 milliliter bottle, whatever, you're going to use your calculator at the percentage of flavor that you want to have. So that way you can know from now on, like my vial right here is 4 milliliters. So every time I fill this up with my unflavored mix, I know that I need to add 0.80 milliliters or 26 drops of flavor to make a complete 4 milliliters of flavored e-liquid. Okay? So I hope that was very clear, because now this is a 4 milliliter bottle of flavored e-liquid that already has nicotine at 20 milligrams. If you want 24 milligrams, you need to use a calculator to come up with a different recipe. But either way, you're still going to want to use this, because this will be more accurate than dropping 400, 500, 600 drops. When you get here, you can change your flavor. If you want 10%, 20%, 30%, however much flavor you want, you're still going to have to drip it in your unflavored mix. I don't care if you use a big batch. You're still going to have to drop your flavor. You're still going to have to use a calculator if you don't want to use this particular recipe. Basically, the recipe is just showing you the basic way to make a bigger batch of liquid and an easier way, which is why it was called Simpler DIY. Okay? So, to all my YouTube viewers, I would never post anything that I really don't know what I'm talking about, you know. To you guys, I feel like the previous comment to the last video was misleading. For one, because it was the first comment, because I just posted the video yesterday, so I don't want to deter anyone from watching the video thinking it's inaccurate because somebody possibly couldn't understand what I was saying. So, I'm sorry to have to rant about it or whatever, but yeah, Jack Ace, you know, if you have any questions or concerns that maybe you didn't understand, you should ask them first before you kind of just say that what I'm doing is wrong, because I use one of the best calculators that there are. This one is not from Todd Muller, but actually it is a different calculator. But either way, I use a calculator. I didn't just come up with these, you know, this recipe off the top of my head. I didn't just say, hey, if I just, you know, divide this by this, it'll be that. No, I use a calculator. So my recipe, again, 30 milliliters of unflavored mix, which means it has 0% flavoring in it, at 20 milligrams is going to be 10 milliliters nicotine, 20 milliliters of PG, and that's that. Okay? So for everybody else, you can subscribe, Jack Ace 106. If you want to subscribe, you know, that's fine too. All y'all have a good day. You know, enjoy making your liquid, and see you guys later.